Okay, girls, someone asked me to talk about the different types of clubs that I've experienced, and I'm so glad because this is one of those things that nobody really tells you in a real way. I've worked at 20 plus clubs in Portland, Atlanta, Miami, New York, LA, Seattle, and I'm here to tell you that not all clubs are the same. And the club that makes your friend rich could literally make you feel like you hate dancing. Today, I'm breaking down the main types of clubs that I've worked at: gentlemen's clubs, tourist clubs, urban clubs, and Latin clubs. Plus, the difference between stage heavy and VIP heavy, how the hustle changes, and how to pick what fits you the best. Quick disclaimer before we get into it, I am speaking generally. I'm not going to name specific clubs or people or places. Every city has its own version of these vibes, though, so take what helps and leave what doesn't. Here's the cheat code, bestie. Your experience changes based on three things: where the money comes from. Is it mostly stage, or is it mostly VIP champagne rooms? Two, the room culture. Is it a party room, or is it an intimate room? Three, the hustle expectations. Do you need to be super forward, or can you soft sell? And if you match your strengths to the room, your confidence, your money, your safety, your nervous system, everything is just gonna feel so much better. For me, my dancing persona is athletic, playful, bratty, funny, hot. And I'm good at stage sets and pole tricks, and I'm also good at VIP sales. I can talk and I can survive pretty much at any club, but when it comes to thriving and having a positive experience and having fun at work, it really depends on the club. So let's get started with urban clubs. And when I say urban clubs, the music is usually hip hop, rap, trap, and it's loud, high energy, and a lot of the time it's less about having long conversations and more about being able to create that party music video vibe. In order to be successful in urban clubs, I feel like you really need to know how to jump into the frame and make yourself the main character. A hustle is often about being in the right place at the right time, being forward, and not being afraid to like put yourself out there. And honestly, momentum matters a lot. So if you're able to like build momentum and make things really fun and exciting, you might be really successful in urban clubs. There's usually going to be booths in urban clubs where the parties will hang out, and you'll see this energy where groups are like competing and throwing money and like who's the biggest baller in the room energy. I'm going to say something that might really help baby dancers in urban clubs. In a lot of urban clubs, it really helps to have a hustle sister or a little group, even a little posse. Not because you can't do it alone, but because the vibe can be very fast. The room is moving super fast, and it's easier to be noticed and be able to plug into people's booths and plug into people's vibes and parties when you're not creating the vibe alone. I would say that when I was working in urban clubs, the posses, the groups of girls, the hustle sisters would be a lot more successful than the babes who were trying to hustle by themselves. So here's a quick funny story of an experience I had at an urban club. I was trying to get with the program and make some money because everything was so fast moving. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do what the other girls are doing. And I went up to this stud and I just started twerking, right? And because that's what everybody would do in that club, is just stand up and start twerking. And then the customer would like throw money on them. That's what everyone else was doing. So I went up to her and I started twerking. Hey, hey, hey. She literally steps to the side and she goes, I'm good, babe. And it was so embarrassing, bestie, because I literally like stumbled backwards. I committed too hard. And it was so embarrassing because I was like, put yourself out there, girl, be the main character. And it didn't go well for me. Definitely taught me something. It really taught me that in party rooms, you still have to read the energy. Not everyone is going to want the same type of interaction. And the honest truth is that not everybody's gonna want you, all right? Here's the truth. Urban clubs are the most fun, in my opinion. I love the vibe. I love hip hop music. I love dancing to hip hop music. But I'll be real, sometimes I'm not the look that the room really rewards the most. Some rooms are looking for very specific features, very specific body types, and if you don't match that, you can still make money, but it may take a different strategy and you may have to work a lot harder. And I feel like when an urban club was bad, it was really bad. I would be paying out of pocket, not making any money, because if one group comes in and wants to have that urban club experience, but nobody's throwing money, then like they kind of just leave. And it does take that momentum of everybody being in the same place at the same time, and being in the right place at the right time. And I feel like you would thrive at an urban club if you're a high energy person, you're forward, you're not shy, you can just like jump into a moment or like insert yourself into somebody's party. You're not afraid to do that. Maybe you love chaos a little bit, you like getting in there. You would maybe thrive in that kind of environment. And maybe you're okay with the hustle being fast. Maybe you're okay with that. Maybe that's your thing and you prefer that. Those are the type of people I feel like would thrive at an urban club. So let's move on. Now I want to talk about gentlemen's clubs. These are usually more of a sexy vibe, more controlled, and the music tends to be top 40, pop, maybe some hip hop, maybe some throwbacks, but it really depends on the club. Because I've heard gentlemen's clubs play all kinds of music, country, rock. I would say it's more popular music, more widely known music, and in smaller clubs it can be more sultry, or the girls are just playing their own music, playing the music that they like. In gentlemen's clubs, I feel like you're not just performing on stage, but you're also producing that fantasy experience. You're also creating those intimate experiences as well. In gentlemen's clubs, you're often selling VIP champagne rooms, you're selling a dance, and the vibe is a lot more like one on one. So, yes, it can feel more like work because it's more intimate, it's more like social skills, customer service. You're talking more, you're reading people more, you're making sales more, you're closing more, doing all of those good sales stuff. So, a lot of the time, it can take a lot more of your social battery to work at a gentleman's club, in my opinion. Actually, having those conversations and like to know people and build relationships, which I'm not saying doesn't happen at urban clubs, I just feel like it's more intense at a gentleman's club. For me, gentlemen's clubs have been most consistent money overall. Even if the room isn't jumping necessarily, you have more tools. You can use conversation, connection, upselling, and often you can use credit cards at gentlemen's clubs to charge for VIP rooms and champagne rooms, which really makes the earning potential kind of uncapped sometimes. And this is why gentlemen's clubs have the big night potential too. If you have a club where people can spend on card and they're comfortable spending on card, that can change your life, baby. I've seen it with my own eyes, all right? I've seen girls make 10K in a night, 20K in a night, 30K in a night. And yes, you can make insane money at the right urban club too, especially ones with celebrity nights and shows and artists coming through. But gentlemen's clubs are where I've seen the biggest nights be more accessible to more dancers. So, gentlemen's clubs are where you meet the most interesting characters because you actually have time to talk. I've had the foot fetish guys, I've had the crazy VIP stories. When I was 18, there was this guy, Bob, who liked strong girls and wanted me to pick him up and flex my muscles and do push ups. You just can't make the shit up that you'll experience in a gentleman's club. But with that comes a bit more risk of SA as well because you are in private spaces with people more often than in an urban club, at least in my experience. When you're in a private room, there is higher risk of just dealing with somebody that is disrespecting your boundaries. I'm just being honest and I just want you to be prepared. We will talk more about how to look for red flags a little bit later in the video, so stay with me. The people that I feel like would really thrive at a gentleman's club is if you're good at conversation, if you're good at reading people, if you're comfortable with intimacy and you don't mind closing sales and you want consistency. Now let's talk about tourist clubs because I feel like this is a whole category of its own because tourists do tend to behave differently. Tourist clubs, in my opinion, are either groups who want to party and have that full club experience, or someone who's on a business trip who's like, I'm out of town, I'm trying to just get into a little bit of trouble because I'm alone, I'm somewhere that I'm not from, and let me just go check out this club that's right next to my hotel and see what they're about. So knowing what you're dealing with tells you exactly how to act because I would act different with these two different types of customers. Tourist money can be good because tourists are often more willing to spend irresponsibly because they're already on a trip. It feels like, oh, this is just one night. I'm in Portland anyways. I'm in LA for one night. Also, tourists, they influence each other's behavior. So there'll be positive influences on each other to spend more money because they're like, oh, YOLO, you only live once. Bachelor parties are a really good example of this. People are hyping each other up and just telling each other, oh, just go do the dance, let's all get a dance. And then suddenly everyone's getting a dance, you're selling VIP rooms, and it just feels like it's part of the experience, part of the trip. And I feel like tourists are often a lot easier to convince to spend money. When I first started dancing here in Portland, I feel like there was a lot more tourism back in 2018, and people would come in and spend just because it felt like it was just a part of their trip to come to Portland and to go to strip clubs here and spend money. So it wasn't hard getting them to agree to go and do a dance. I think that you'll thrive in tourist clubs if you can match energy really fast, if you can read group dynamics, because a lot of the time people travel in groups, but not necessarily all the time. But if you also know how to keep things fun and do quick upsells without needing to do like a deep connection, I think if you're used to dealing with new people all the time, less regulars, then you're gonna love a tourist club. So now let's go over Latin clubs. Latin clubs, at least the ones that I worked in, are usually more like reggaeton and Latin trap vibes. For me, Latin clubs are the most fun. The energy, like the music, like you feel super hot and sexy when you're dancing to reggaeton, like some Bad Bunny. And I definitely experienced this when I was in Miami. I feel like every other song was Bad Bunny. Shout out Bad Bunny. His Super Bowl performance, can we talk about it for a second? So good. I feel like the Latin club hustle kind of overlaps with urban clubs and gentlemen's clubs because a lot of the time it can be party driven, but they also do have VIP rooms and lap dances too. So kind of like its own flavor though. It's definitely a different kind of confidence. So now let's talk about the difference that really changes everything. Stage heavy versus VIP heavy. And I feel like this has the biggest effect on your experience as a dancer. Stage heavy clubs are where the stage matters the most, the room energy matters more, and your night can swing hard. If it's popping, it's gonna be really good, and if it's dead, it can be rough. All right, super rough. VIP heavy clubs are where the money is more in VIP champagne rooms, it's more one-on-one, and you have a little bit more control over how much money that you make. If you're good at closing sales, then you can make something happen even when there's only one customer in the room. If you're an athletic dancer who loves stage sets and pole tricks, stage heavy is probably going to be your heaven. And if you're a conversation queen and you like consistency, VIP heavy can change your freaking life. And if you're like me and you can do both, congrats, bestie, you're dangerous. So let's talk club culture. In bigger, more popular clubs, tip outs and stage fees can be higher because a lot of people want to work there. Corporate clubs tend to have more rules. Sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes rules can also create more structure and safety. Smaller, privately owned clubs can be more laid back and less strict in terms of things like dress code. Maybe they allow phones on the floor, maybe they don't allow phones on the floor, maybe they allow you to have your bag on the floor, maybe they don't allow you to have your bag on the floor. It really just depends on the club. Sometimes it's nice to work in a lackadaisical environment, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a red flag. So I just want to give out a really big city warning because big cities like baby dancers, please listen to me. Do not go to big cities and expect it to be easy. It is very competitive. People travel there to dance. You have to be able to put yourself forward, or this industry will literally eat you alive because a lot of people are doing this for survival, and a lot of people have been doing this for a really long time. Everyone in this industry is a hustler, and in these bigger cities, it's a lot more cutthroat. In smaller cities and smaller clubs, you can sometimes have more consistency and more breathing room, more room to learn if you're a baby dancer. So let's go over some green flags and some red flags. The first green flag is going to be if management answers your questions and gives you a tour of the club, which to me seems respectful, present, and organized. And every club that I've worked at that ended up being a good club to work at has given me some kind of tour, has given me some kind of introduction to the club, answered my questions. It wasn't just, all right, go for it, get out there, no direction, nobody looking out for me. They did look out for me. They did tell me how everything worked and gave me a tour. That's a green flag. Second green flag is a clean locker room. Supplies, a house mom is an extra plus. Anything that shows that they care about the humanity of their dancers, that is a green flag. The third green flag is that the fees feel reasonable and are clearly explained. So there's no weird pressure, there's no pressure for tips, nobody's harassing you for tips. That is a green flag. Different fees are going to vary based on where you are, the type of club that you're at. But if it's reasonable in comparison to the other clubs in your area and for what you're getting out of the experience, then that's a green flag. So let's go over red flags. The first red flag is anybody being creepy, predatory, inappropriate, or making you feel unsafe. That's an immediate no. You do not have to deal with these things, and I do recommend that you go and find a different club to work at. The staff should definitely not be predatory or creepy or inappropriate. The second red flag is if they're desperate for dancers in a way that feels like you're being used as marketing. They need dancers in there to bring in customers, and then you just become a body. And Bessie, you are not charity. You deserve to work at a club that already has their shit together, a club that's going to represent you in a good light and doesn't need your help to bring in customers. That should be their job. Your job is to just dance and entertain the customers that are already there. If they're desperate for dancers, just go and find a different club. Or just be extra wary of the management and them taking advantage of you as an independent contractor. The third red flag is harassing you for money or weird fee pressure, or if it's predatory in any type of way. If it feels like they're pimping you out, that's a red flag. If they don't care about your humanity as a person, big red flag. And these are the type of things that you really need to care about when it's a place that you're going to be working on a regular basis. One lesson I learned the hard way is don't stay at places that don't appreciate you or where you don't feel safe. I started at this super seedy club in Portland, and after a week I thought I hated dancing, and then I tried a different club and I was like, wait, I love this. And it was just the environment. So don't let anyone scare you out of trying different places. Spread your wings, find your fit. The second lesson that I learned that cost me a lot of money is traveling doesn't automatically mean more money. Sometimes you spend more on actually traveling and the hotel and the rental car than you make. Big cities are hyped up like a fantasy, and I definitely fell for it in my early years of dancing. I went to Miami, I went to LA, I went to New York. But those places are so hard to make money, especially if you are fresh meat, especially if you're a traveling dancer. And honestly, sometimes it's like the little clubs in the middle of nowhere that end up being the best money. So just be careful what people tell you. Don't listen to everything that everyone says. If you have something good where you're at, that's special. that's unique. A lot of people are looking for that. And if you are going to go travel, just be prepared to spend more money than you're going to make. Just be prepared for it to happen and don't rely on going somewhere else just to make more money, because you never know what's going to happen by traveling far for work and all of the expenses that you'll incur doing that. So, girls, it's time to comment. Which one are you? Are you the stage demon? Are you the VIP closer? Are you the party hustler? Are you the soft selling seductress? I also want to know, what city are you from? What type of club are you considering working at? I reply to all the comments on my videos, so I can't wait to talk to you guys in the comment section below. Also, if you want a part 2, I can do a how to audition smart, what questions to ask, and how to survive your first week in a new city or something like that. Because I have been like everywhere. I've done the travel dancing, I've moved to dance in different cities, and I've learned from so many mistakes, and I really want to share more of those mistakes that I've made, more of the lessons that I've learned. Hopefully this can help even just one person out there. I wish I knew these things when I first started. I love you all. If this is helpful, if you're a dancer, go ahead and download my app. It's called Red Light Therapy with 2 Ds, and we are an online studio for misfits and lovers, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. I post every Thursday. I love you. Continue being a bad bitch, and I will see you in the next one.